What's cracking, everybody? My name is my guy, Matt Sapaula here, hailing to you from Dallas, Texas, here at the corporate home office in, yes, Addison, Texas. Yes, I've relocated from Chicago, Illinois, and I'm here with my fellow co-host, Jorge Pelayo, fellow cash flow, first-generation millionaire. And on this week's episode, we'll discuss how to become a millionaire and the misconceptions to avoid for you to become a first-generation cash flow millionaire. The look on your face when you're living your dreams. Right? We want to discuss what that's going to look like for you when you're living your dreams. The look you're going to have on your face when you're living your dreams. We're looking at the faces of Jeff Bezos and Branson as they're flying to space. From stats to stacks, how a teen parent who is never supposed to make it and what they're doing now. Who are we talking about? We're talking about our guest speaker today, which is who, Jorge Pelayo. Who is our guest today on the PHP Podcast?
Mr. Ellis Suazo. We have him on the PHP podcast today, him and his wife. We were talking before the show started, Matt, and they're going to share some numbers on what their minimum income has been since starting PHP, which is insane when he shares that number. But Mr. Ellis Suazo, welcome to the PHP podcast, brother.
Actually, guys.
Oh, man, thank you so much.
We're going to get rolling here, starting in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Awesome. So, George, I am excited to have Suazo on. Suazo, welcome to the show, brother.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Real quick. Now,
excited to be here.
We know you. We know you because obviously we've been rocking and rolling in Oak Brook, and I remember you when you're a brand new trainee, and I remember meeting you for the very first time. Introduced you at the cigar lounge there at the Humidor Westmont. George, cool question. Ellis asked because I was talking to him at that time. Remember, we went to the Greece trip, right, George? A few years ago to the Greece trip, and Ellis got married in Santorini, Greece. I mean, brother, you should see these pictures. I mean, it's like magazine-esque. Matter of fact, Ellis, you were on a magazine.
Yes, we were. We got into a magazine thanks to our wedding planner. She made sure that we got into one.
So their photo shoot in Santorini, Greece, made it to magazine. So we're actually talking to cover models. We're actually talking we're talking to a model here. And folks, please do not be confused. For those of you who grew up in the 80s and the 90s, this is not Al B. Short. Okay, just want to let you know it's not Al B. Short. This is Ellis Suazo, but from New Orleans. And George, the question he asked, because I showed him, our trip going to Greece, and then I swiped over to our app that we're using, pre-Bamboo. And I showed him my cash flow for the month. I think I was only making $60,000 or $70,000 a month at that time. And Suazo asked me a couple questions. He's like, "Dog, can you show me how to make that type of money? And will you help me to make that type of money?" And he's been absolutely coachable and relentless since then. Ellis, talk to us about. We know your story and background. Could you tell everybody else that's watching this podcast right now what it was like for you as a teenager being a teen parent?
Yes, absolutely, Matt. Like you said, man, originally from New Orleans, and I was raised by a single mom. We lived in a tiny little apartment, 2-bedroom apartment, about 600, 700 square feet. I remember when I finally took my wife down to where I grew up at. She said, "Man, you actually grew up there?" I said, "Yeah." She was like, "Man, you were really poor growing up." I said, "Yes, we were really poor, not kind of poor. We were poor." And I became a teen dad by the time I was 17, 18. I remember a couple of people saying, "Man, Ellis, I don't know, man, I think you ruined your life here, man, because you was making good grades and everything like that." But I said, you know what, there's only one or two things that can happen in that situation. And it was either that those individuals are going to be right or those individuals are going to be wrong. So I took that feeling that I had because it hit me hard. But I said, you know what, I'm going to make sure that these individuals are wrong. And so I fought my way through college. I got a job, was working through college, still traveling back and forth and home to see my kid. I was in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, at a school called Southern University, proud HBCU grad, which is a historical Black college university. And I got an engineering degree. And look, guys, the only reason I got an engineering degree wasn't because I was aspiring to be Neil Armstrong and land on the moon or anything like that. It was simply because I read an article on Yahoo that said that there was engineers that were needed. There was a lot of baby boomers that was approaching retirement, and the field needed more engineers. So I said, well, look, I'm willing to do the physics. I'm willing to do the calculus. I'll go ahead and get an engineering degree. But what I found was that even though I graduated with all the student loans and everything, no one wanted to hire me. So I got this engineering degree because I followed what everyone told me to do, which was go to school, get good grades, right? Get a good education and get yourself a good job, right? That is what I fell into. And nobody wanted to hire me. I wound up working. As a matter of fact, I'm in Oak Brook now. 5 minutes down the street is the Burlington Coat Factory that I worked at when I first moved to Chicago, making a whopping $7.75 an hour. Talk about living the American dream. And how many people know it's not what you know, but it's actually who you know. So finally, I met somebody that got me into a company where I would just work my way up. And after about 5 or 6 years, I was finally able to reach 6 figures in income working as an engineer. So a lot of people see me today, or when I enter to the opportunity, like, oh man, Ellis, you came from a high network background. You was this, you was that. I'm like, guys, I come from nothing. If you see where I grew up at, and Matt, to this day, and George, to this day, I cannot stand the look of a leg quarter, like a thigh and a leg together. I can't eat it because we ate so much of it coming up, right? And it's like you have to cut that leg and that thigh. I'm not going to eat it. So that's just, just a little funny tidbit about just some of the things you experienced growing up. But that's the best my mother could do. Very appreciative and thankful for what she instilled in me growing up, and the example that she set to raise a young man, up until that point, guys. So that's a little bit about me, what happened, how I got here.
Bro, I mean, that's the same way I feel about a can of Spam. It's got to be out of the can of Spam. I'm not going to I'm not going to pop the top of a can of Spam and slice the meat and fry it on a frying pan, but it's got to be out of the can for me to actually consume Spam. George, what was your broke food, man? You don't come from rich beginnings. What was your broke food growing up?
I can't stand eating rice and beans, man. Being Cuban and Puerto Rican, it's everything is rice and beans every day, and it's every single day. And so finally, I moved out. When I moved out, I was like, I'm never eating rice and beans again. And then you move out long enough, and then you miss rice and beans. You know what I'm saying? So rice and beans, every Hispanic's food, every meal. If you're Mexican, it's tortillas with everything. But yeah, that's us, man.
That's it. By the way, for those of you guys watching this is episode 16. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, PHP Agency, and make sure you jot down some of your questions that you have, because we'll be interacting. We're watching a live chat right now. We see Chris McCoy and Maurice Hansberry, Miriam Rivera. We see Bobby DeVar, Hiram Figueroa. Good to see you guys here joining us on a live chat. And guys, we want to make sure we blow this up. Make sure you're sharing this to your social media profiles, on your Twitter, on your Facebook. Make sure you share this video. Suazo, you don't come from money. So what was it like for you to enter the field of life insurance? Is because you were an engineer, and in a million years, did you ever think you'd be selling life insurance?
Not at all. None whatsoever, right? But my journey into the insurance industry is pretty unique, and it starts back when I was working in corporate. And I remember a boss of mine told me, he said, Ellis, you need a mentor. I said, a mentor? He said, yeah, you need a mentor. I said, well, where does one find this mentor? Do I just look them up on Google? Do I look them up in the newspaper? Where do I find a mentor? He said, I don't know, Ellis, but you need to find one. And so that stuck with me. There's things in life that happen to you, there's certain points in life where it's like that sticks with you for the rest of your life. And that was one of them. And so I began to say, you know what? I woke up sitting at my desk one day, literally, guys, as I said, I woke up at my desk because I was just sitting there in a gaze, and I said, I need to do something different, because I don't see myself doing this for the next 30 years. I feel bamboozled. I feel duped. I went and got this degree. I went and did everything they said, and I am not living the dream. I'm still working paycheck to paycheck. There's still somebody with a thumb on my forehead telling me when I can come, when I can go, when I can take a vacation, when I can see my children, how much money I can make. I said, I don't want that. I want something different. And so I knew specifically I was looking for an industry that I can get into that someone would help me. And I began to pray for an opportunity. And about 3 years passed before a gentleman introduced me to our host here today, which is Matt Sapaula at Cigar Lounge. But it's even funnier than that. I dropped my wallet one day. I met this gentleman. I was playing basketball with him. I went into the parking lot afterwards. And when I went and got into the car, I dropped my wallet, but I didn't know it, right? And so he picked my wallet up. He saw my ID, called me up and said, Ellis, I got your wallet. I say, all right, man, cool. I live out here in this area. He said, so do I. Didn't even know he lived there. We met up. He's talking to me. He said, man, I'm about to go to this event. It's an insurance conference. I'm like, yeah, man, bro, whatever, Brian. Yeah, okay, cool for you. Holler at me when you get back because we only run a gym when you in town. So he gets back. Obviously, where is he going? He's going to Vegas. He's going to the big event. He comes back fired up. I'm one of the first people that he calls. He invites me over to his house. Now, he didn't tell me specifically. He said, Ellis, come over. We're going to watch the game and we're going to barbecue. I said, man, cool, no problem. I'm there. So I go to his house. Unbeknownst to me, they do a presentation. They do this presentation called Four Homes of Money, talking about money, how it grows, right? And I'm blown away. I'm blown away, right? I said, oh my God, I'm about to become a millionaire selling life insurance. I go home to guys, I'm serious. I go home to my wife. She's watching TV, and I say, babe, pause the TV, cut the TV off. She's like, what, Ellis? I'm like, we're about to become rich. She said, what? I said, we're about to sell life insurance. She said, boy, get out of here. And she said, don't bother me no more.
Ellis,
turn the TV back on.
Ellis,
right?
Ellis, get out of here. That's just
right. So she said, get out of here. And so anyway, some time passed by. I said, Jay, man, I can't do anything right now, but hit me back up because we were in the process of planning for our wedding. I couldn't spend anything. But he did the power of the follow-up, and he reached back out to me when I came back and then introduced me to Matt Sapaula. And Matt had everything I was looking for, guys, in a mentor. I wanted somebody who was a millionaire that was in the industry that I was going to enter. I didn't want to just enter into industry and then someone coach me from the outside. I wanted someone in the trenches, right? I said, and also I wanted a family man. I wanted someone I could relate to. I wanted someone who was a father. These are the things that I was looking to because all my life, I didn't necessarily have that same type of example growing up in a man. And so when I met Matt, first off, when I pulled up in the parking lot, there was a Batmobile parked outside. And I was like, who drives that? It was a Benz. I never seen anything like it before. I walk in and there's Matt, 6'4" Filipino guy. And guys, you're looking at the screen, we look very similar, right? We look like we could be cousins. And so I said, he's got the Rolex on. I said, okay, that's got to be his car. I was like, is that your car outside? He was like, yes. I'm like, all right, cool, man. What is it that you do? He says, Ellis, I'm in the insurance industry. He's telling me about he's a blended family. I'm a blended family with my wife. We both were teen parents coming up. He said, he was a single father, 3 kids as well. And I'm like, man, this man has a similar story like me. Didn't do much in high school. He's like, man, Ellis, I barely made it out of high school. I'm a jarhead. And he was like, if I could become a millionaire, you could too. When he said that, guys, I said, I don't care what it is, I'm doing it. And that's those 2 questions that I actually said, can I make that money and would you be willing to help me? And he held that story true. Guys, 10 months after that, made over $100,000 part-time working this business at PHP Agency. So very thankful. So that's how I came into the industry, guys.
Ellis, quick question. What was your schedule like while you were part-time? You're still an engineer and you make $100,000 part-time your first year in business. Because I think a lot of people love that story that are listening, but I don't know if people want to work that type of schedule. What did that look like?
That's very true, George. So I was traveling 2 to 3 months every month for my job. All right. So I was traveling back and forth. I was in the railroad industry. I'm working all kind of crazy hours, days and nights. Right. And so what I did was every free moment that I have, I worked on a business, whether it was getting my license, working top 25 list, or reaching out to Matt Machino or my uplines at the time, saying, what do I got to do? What's next? What's next? What's next? I was hungry, George. I was so hungry because a lot of people, they say, yeah, that sounds cool. That's good for him. Or I would like to do something like that, but you got to be hungry. I was at the point that my desire to do something different was much higher than my fear of the unknown. I was tired of seeing my wife work 12-hour days, 5 days a week. And when I see her on the weekend on Sundays, she would have this look on her face and I had this pit in my stomach because what was she thinking about? I got to go to work tomorrow morning. Yeah. We was 2 ships sailing in the night. We barely saw each other when we first got married because we was like this. Working and traveling. But I said, I'm going to do this no matter what. Guys, my car broke down. Had to spend $2,000 to try to fix my car. This is before I'm cash flowing anything in PHP because I'm like, I'm going to make it happen no matter what. So, George, that schedule was hectic. It was 24/7. Every free moment I could spare, I was on my business. Every person that I was talking to about the business, a change, a difference.
And when did Jasmine join you in business? Like, was that initially, or was it after you started making money? How was that conversation like? Did she need to see you making money first? Was it an argument? Was it, hey, this is awesome? What was that like?
So my wife was like, well, Ellis, I'll be supportive, right? You can go ahead and try it out. So that was her language to me, right? And so I said, man, I know I got to get my wife involved in this, man. We could smash it. We could kill this thing. So no, she was not involved at all in the beginning whatsoever. So I was diligent with it. I got my license. She saw that I was serious. One thing a lot of people don't know is, about me that's in PHP and heard some of the story before, is that my wife told me something and it stuck with me and it put another fire in me, George. She said, Ellis, you never commit to anything.
Woo! Woo!
There was a gut check.
Hurts.
It hurt. Woo! It hurt. She said, you never commit to anything. I said, all right, I'm going to show you. That's what I said. I'm going to show you. And so I stayed diligent. My first check was over $1,000 when I got licensed. And then she threw me a referral to one of her aunt's friends, did annuity rollover, protected that person's income for their retirement. And I made another $3,000. So what began as Ellis's thing became our money.
Yeah.
All right. And so that began her buy-in. All right. I'm still salty about that annuity rollover, George. Is sitting in the front of my house is bricks. It's bricks, landscape.
So guys, I want to transition into making $1 million. How to become a millionaire. But at the same time, too, I also want to overcome some objections, because the book that I read early in my career was a book written by Dr. Thomas Stanley. It's called The Millionaire Next Door. And he talked about that most millionaires are people that you never think were millionaires. They're saving a lot of their money. They're not buying a lot of big flashy things. They have these jobs, et cetera, et cetera. But one thing that stood out to me with that book is that a lot of the millionaires next door are either executives or they're in sales. And so coming out the military, I was reading this book. So, well, I may not ever be an executive because I don't have the pedigree. I have no desire to go to college, get an MBA and all that stuff, and eventually climb the corporate ladder. So I most likely will probably never be an executive, but I can be in sales. It's a skill set that I think I can learn and have immediate effect on in my life. So I wrestled a lot with this book. I wrestled a lot with that book, Millionaire Next Door, and I want to unpack some of that during this portion of the episode. And I want to ask you guys your opinion, because the journey to $1 million starts with making the first $100,000. And Suazo, you're well on your way to becoming a first generation cash flow millionaire too as well. By the way, what was that side conversation you guys were having about Ellis's no matter what number in terms of income? Fill us in as we transition to this part of the conversation.
So since coming into the company, so I remember my first job offer, when I finally got into engineering, it was $50K, right? $55K. I was so excited, so ecstatic. And I said, man, I finally made it, right? I got a job offer for $50K. Guys, since being at PHP Agency, I've been here now for 3 years, little under 3 years now, licensed and appointed. Our first 3 years, we've averaged over $200,000 every single year, and that's only going to continue to rise, right? And so coming into an industry with no experience, no background, no pedigree in it, no big market, not coming from a family with money, right? None of those things, and we're still able, because of the system, the training, teachings of sales, being able to duplicate what Matt and Sheena have done. Guys, that's the proof is in the pudding. Over 200K each year.
Before I left for Dallas, you tell me what does this opportunity provided you and Jasmine after this $199 enrollment, a few $100 for you to get licensed in Illinois and all the different non-resident states that you're now selling in. What is this cumulative? What is the PHP opportunity paid you since inception? For your inception?
Since inception, man, this cumulative, this opportunity has paid me and my wife well over $625,000 since being here. And it's only going to go up.
I love it, man. I love it. So let's take a look at this. I'm going to share my screen here. If I can share my screen, desktop too, yes. Okay, I'm getting this whole 2-screen system. Boom. You guys see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So the first personal finance book I ever read complete, changed the way I think about managed money. So The Millionaire Next Door is a book written by Thomas Stanley. And I like this bullet point here. Do I double click? How do I increase the size? How do I zoom in, Tigran? Okay. So I'm zooming. Okay. I used to think that frugality was for people who need money, and that looking for deals and coupons were for people who couldn't spare a few extra cents. I spent years building and living with debt, thinking it was normal. But The Millionaire Next Door showed me that many millionaires are thoughtful about building wealth and frugal in their day-to-day lives. It was mind-blowing for me and changed the way the way I manage money going forward. So let's take a look at some of these principles here, because he says in his book, it's an analysis that everyday millionaires in America who aren't making headlines, diving deep into how they make, keep, and grow their money, is really published in 1996. And while it's been updated a few times since then, it was just as relevant today. I have a challenge with this. So there's a couple areas that I wrestle with. So let's take a look. Number one, being in debt is standard for many millionaires. We may think that being rich have debt just like us, but according to the book, many millionaires don't acquire debt. Instead, the wealthy look to grow the wealth by investing early and contributing often. Debt, the book says, lies mostly to the lower and middle class. Mainly the people that strive for status acceptance by the friends are the ones who go into debt trying to look like they're rich. Now, this one I agree with. Okay, I don't go into a lot of debt. However, with that being said, I also love debt because of leverage. Okay, I love to leverage debt to allow me to invest in other things and things that appreciate. For example, Ellis, you went to college, right? So you went into student loan debt to get you to appreciating skill set to allow you to get this conversation. George, you've dabbled in real estate investing. What are your thoughts, guys, on debt?
Well, I'll give you mine. When I first got started in the business, I had, a business credit card. And I remember for conventions, we have an MGM, the event coming up at MGM right now. I didn't have the money to buy tickets to the convention. So I got a credit card and I said, hey, I'm not going to go buy, clothes with this credit card. I'm going to go invest in my business. I'm going to go buy a laptop. I'm going to go buy tickets for the next convention. And I probably got into, I don't know, like $10,000, $15,000 of credit card debt with business, with this, with buying a new wardrobe, because I didn't have the money back then. But I said, okay, I am going to use this as a business investment. So my first $10,000, $15,000 of debt was really invested into the business. And today the return on that is, we were having a conversation with Matt earlier with yourself, Matt, on a call that Matt does called Coffee with Money Smart Guy. And he asked me a question: how much are you guys saving today? And I said, on the low end, on a monthly basis, we save around $40,000 today. But if I didn't invest to go to that conference, if I didn't get into debt, if I didn't buy a laptop, buy a 10-pack, for those of you guys that know what that is, if you're an agent with PHP, if I didn't invest into my team, into staff, a lot of times entrepreneurs, you want the money to come first before you put the money into your business, but you really have to put the money into your business before you see any kind of return. And that was a mindset that I had to change on a lot of other fashions: investing, renting a desk, getting an office, hiring staff, all those things. Although they were in debt, they were expenses. And I said, okay, I'm going to run my business like a large company. And this guy, I think it was Alberto that said it at our last convention. He says, when you have a small business, treat it like a big business. And when you have a big business, treat it like a small business. But when you're running a small business, you have to invest into that business, because that business will give you everything else that you want in your life.
Yeah, Suazo, now you're leasing your own office we used to be on the third floor. We moved down to the second floor because we needed a much larger square footage. We went from 4,000 or 5,000 square feet to 12,000 square feet. But now your organization, you moved out of that second floor to move to the third floor, our former office. And now you and your wife, you guys both drive a black and white Range Rover. How have you rethought the way you see debt, if any, in learning the rules of the money game here at PHP?
Oh, absolutely, Matt. I mean, I think when I think of the word debt, what I think about is two things. Number one is poor preparation for life and things that you want. The second thing is habits that you see your parents, your community, right? Product of your environment. It's normal to get into debt. So everything coming up in life was put it on a credit card, right? Or go get a loan, student loans to go to college, because no one else prepared that one day this kid actually might want to go to college. And so when you get into, now I get into becoming an adult, my habits were terrible, right? Spending habits, getting into debt, maxing out credit cards, not paying it, loopholes, trying to figure out the system, work the system. That's normal life that I knew about, the habits that I've seen. And when I got into PHP and got into mentorship and began to learn the rules of the money game, what I saw was that it shifted. It says save, 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 and invest back into your business. So that was a preparation. So as George talking about spending money, it wasn't a surprise when it says, hey, you need to reinvest in here. Get your 10-pack. You need this for your office. We had the money. My wife is a very a good saver. And so I love that about her. So as a business partner, it's like, okay, I'm going to make sure that, I'm not causing any arguments or anything about money. Let's save, let's save, let's save. So when we do have to do bigger moves or bigger purchases, it's not an issue. So when we bought, for example, our cars, and I drove my Dodge Charger into the ground, right? I was, it got to the point where Sheena Sapaula, which is Matt's wife, she was like, Ellis, go buy you a car. It's okay. Go buy a car. Like, you sure? She's like, go buy a car.
She called it your college car.
She said you had a cool kid college car, the cool college kid car, right? So I said, all right, Sheena. So I said, but now let's go get Jasmine something first. So I'm still even like, let's put her first. So we were able to buy her a Range Rover, all blacked out, murdered out. So if you see Matt's Rolls Royce, just think of it a Range Rover, just murdered out. And then she was happy. She was like, this is cool, but I can't wait till the next one. And I'm like, I love it, babe. Let's keep pushing. And so, but I was like, okay, now I got to get me another car. About a month or two later, I got me the Tuxedo, the black and white one. And that's because we were properly prepared for it. We had the income, we had the savings, because now we were coming out of debt. There wasn't anything that we no longer had to pay for anymore that was looming over our head and bogging us down. And so that came from learning, being under mentorship, and say, these are the rules in the money game. Think of things different. Don't buy something if you don't have the money to pay for it, right? You can use credit to leverage, to build your credit score up and be able to purchase things later on down the line, but don't put yourself in the hole where you got to dig out of it, right? One of the major issues for families today in divorce is finance, right? And so thank God for this opportunity and learning rules to the money game. So that's my, thought of just where debt comes from and where we're at today.
Yeah, and by the way, guys, our PHP agents today, contrary to what we hear a lot in the industry, our agents today do not we don't do dinner seminars, which is how I started my career. I started my career at $5,000 going to buy leads or doing dinner seminars to get people to a workshop at a restaurant that I would have to pay for the dinner for everybody at the restaurant to get 3, 4, 5 people to like me to do business with me. That's not what we do at PHP Agency. Ellis, how much money have you put on a credit card to buy leads or do dinner seminars?
0.
So if you're wondering how Ellis made this money, is because of our system, our model of recruiting and building agents, using word of mouth marketing strategies, using social media to get people to do business with Ellis Suazo, and as well as obviously my co-host today, Jorge Pelayo. So I'm going to share this next one from the Millionaire Next Door. One of the things I talk about is some people clip coupons. Some millionaires clip coupons like ordinary people. Okay. I was shocked to hear that Warren Buffett, investment tycoon, clip coupons. His wife clips coupons. His wife clips coupons, not him, the trader, the investment banker, the Oracle of Omaha. He's not clipping coupons. His wife clips coupons, which almost got me to think that I need to do a coupon clipping. He says, was mind-blowing to me is up until this moment, I had been embarrassed about the thought of giving cashier coupons in fear of the person behind me judging me. Perhaps I might think I couldn't afford the extra 25 cents I was aiming to save. Now, to me, guys, as a single father, before I got married to my wife, I didn't waste time clipping coupons. I didn't take an hour or two to clip coupons. I became a cash flow millionaire, but I didn't waste, for me, the hour, 2, 3 hours to clip coupons, because I said, I'm going to take the same 1, 2, 3 hours and read a book, read the blueprint, read another book outside of the Millionaire Next Door, so I can increase my capacity to increase my skill set. So I take the 1, 2, 3 hours to make more money, not save 25 cents or $1, $2, $5 on coupons. I might be misguided on this. George, Ellis, what do you guys think?
Coupons, I think when you look at the traditional way of people and how they spend their money, I realized when I got a paycheck, I'd go out, I'd do entertainment, then I'd pay my bills, and then I would save. And I think when you look at people on the opposite, what we're taught to do here, the first check that we cut, right, outside of tithing for or giving, however people do that, the first check we cut is to our business. And again, going back to investing into that, then saving money, and then lastly, entertainment. And I think that the issue with coupons more so, and I don't have anything wrong with saving money. I actually, what's interesting, Matt, I try to get more discounts now and save money than when I didn't have money. Like, I want to underpay for things. When I didn't, I wouldn't like, oh, let me just get it right now. And now you have it. You're like, man, I want to keep what I have. Yep. So we bargain more, right? And people say, well, that's cheap. No, that's being money smart, right? Like, be money smart. Yep.
Being frugal. Yep. Exactly.
Yes. And get good deals and negotiate. And so it's just our minds are completely different from being a business owner on how we look at coupons. I think we need to really go make a lot more money than be focused on. I think it was Cardone that said it. You don't have an income. You don't have a spending issue. You have an income issue. And that's the problem with the world today is how do we get 5 or 10% off here or there, save a little bit of money? No, man, how do we go make an extra $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 so you don't have to worry about those things? I remember going to grocery stores with my mom when we were a kid, and at the end of the bill, she would have to say, you know what, can we take that off? And it was like $3, $4, $5, and she'd go there with her coupons, and we go to Vons, we go to Costco with our coupons, and it was normal for us to go to the store with coupons. But I remember as a kid saying, I hate having to worry about seeing that look on my mom's face for that moment where she was sad, devastated, had to tell her kid, no, can we get this? And you see parents at a store, can we get this, mom and dad? And like how sad it is for parents to have to think, man, if we get that, I only have $80 today that I can spend at the store. That's going to be $85. It's a very sad world that we live in because people don't understand their capacity, and we get taught to live with less instead of going to find more. How do I live on this instead of how do I go find more? So yep. I think the coupon mentality has a lot to do more with how people look at income as well.
Suazo, I want to ask you this question because I want to wrap up before I jump into our next topic. You're at the $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 income phase. Now you're going to get to the $400,000, $500,000, $750,000, $1 million phase. What did you do to get to the $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 income phase, and what are you doing different now, getting you to the $500,000, $750,000, $1 million phase?
Well, that's a great question, man. I think most of it in the beginning was talent, and was just using a lot of talent because and then also my identity was already at 6 figures. So it's like I can't get into something and I don't make 6 figures in it. I got to get that, and so that was one of the attributes on why I was able to reach 6 figures in a short amount of time. Because I'm like, if I'm going to do something, it's got to be worth my while. Yeah. And so that was a mindset I already have in it. So, coming in, learning from you guys, was winging a lot of it. A lot of it was talent. There wasn't any systems or things like that. But in order to change, to get to that next level, I really found that I had to read more. I had to develop more. We had to implement more systems, become more structured. As an action technical person, you can't use that your dominant traits are that way and not pay attention to the other ones, right? So if anyone out there know anything about the STAR, right? Structure, technical, action, relation, one of them is more dominant than the other. And so I knew that I was an action person. So a lot of time I can go, right? Which is a great attribute because we like to go and get things moving, but sometimes it can be a bad thing if it's left unchecked, that you don't check your structure part as well to make sure you have that. But one of the biggest things I can attribute that happened to me was one book by Robert Greene. That book is Mastery. And Mastery really helped me change my mindset. So Matt, as you know, coming up as a single father, 3 kids, we only got one thing on our mind, that is to make money, right? I got to make money. Yep. That's the whole reason as I started today, just talking about why I went and got that degree was to make money, And so there was no apprenticeship. I wasn't looking to become a master of my craft. I was just looking, what's the next income jump? You guys ever think about that? You guys work a job. I'm sure there's plenty of people watching the call. You work a job, part-time agents, or just watching from the outside and say, man, how did that person get their job? They're dumb as a box of rocks. How can they be my boss? Because they did just enough to make sure that they could jump to the next level. That's it. And that's what Robert Greene talks about in the book Mastery. And I said, you know what? That's exactly what I was doing in my engineering career. I don't want to do that anymore. I want to actually learn this business, be great at it, become a master, because who wants to be just a jack of all trades at the end of the day? I don't want to be a jack of all the trades. I want to be a master at something and build a Mississippi flow of cash flow to be able to invest and do other things, right? Because we all see, people become 100 millionaires and decamillionaires and billionaires. They do have other things, but they mastered one thing first. All right. And so that's my point of view, Matt.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. My final thoughts here before we move into the next topic is there's a difference of attitude and perspective and how you think money. And I think one of the greatest books I read about becoming a millionaire was not The Millionaire Next Door. Great stats, great data. The guy was a PhD who wrote that book. But I think one of the greatest books I read of changing my mindset when it comes to money is by T. Harv Eker, which is Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. So that's a book that I highly suggest that people look, because how you think things is how you see things. And how you see things will then be how you do things. And if Jorge Pelayo can figure out how to become a first-generation cash flow millionaire, if Ellis Suazo can figure out how to make $100,000, $250,000, $300,000 of income in this new endeavor of being inside the insurance industry, brand new to the insurance industry, less than 3 years into it. If we can figure it out, you can figure it out. And much encouragement to those of you watching us. And you talked about, some of these names I want to bring up right now, because Jeff Bezos just recently went to space. I think it was a couple of days ago, the 20th, yesterday. Before that was Richard Branson with Virgin Galactic. And Patrick challenged us a couple of videos ago, and obviously in our internal meetings. He challenged us on 4 questions. Is number one, how clear are you about your dreams? Okay, so how clear are you at your dreams? Last night we're having dinner. How clear are you about your dreams? People are like, I'm not sure what my dream car is, my dream house, where I want to live, because people sadly turn off their dream machine and they settle for what life will give them. So number one, how clear are you about your dreams? Which is a question that when people come to PHP Agency, there's no perfect people coming over here to PHP Agency. We're all somewhat broken, busted, and disgusted. We're dissatisfied and ambitious about what we've accomplished or not accomplished in our life and what we want to accomplish for the rest of our life. No one knows how clear we are about your dreams. Number 2 is, are we clear about the demand of those dreams? What is it going to take? And which leads us to the number 3. Are we willing to meet the demand? So we understand we got to go to work, but are we willing to get to work on evenings and weekends, closeouts, investing in ourselves, going to big event conventions, fast start schools, etc.? And number 4, how good will it feel to finally hit some of those dreams? George, I'm curious, what was the look on your face when you finally crossed over $100,000 versus you finally crossing over $1 million in income? What was the look on your face?
When I made my first $100,000, I picked Patrick up. There's a video, I think, somewhere on it. And Patrick's a big guy, and I picked Patrick up. I was so excited because for me, making $100,000, I didn't go to college, and so your goal, like you look at, man, if one day I make 6 figures, and this is actually, I made some notes. I want to share them, Sapaula, and I want to ask you as well, your first $100,000 of what I had to do to get there. Ellis started, was at a 6-figure income, used to making a 6-figure income, but that was after, becoming an engineer, 4 years of schooling, right? In our business, your first year, because some of you guys that are watching this, you've never made $100,000, And so for me, I made a few notes on making my first $100,000. The first thing I want to share is I had to believe it. I had to believe that it was possible and take a chance. There's a lot of people, they have a dream, they have a goal, but they're afraid to start. They're afraid to try because they don't want to fail. So they're like, let me play it safe. I'll just stay here. I'll just stay at this job. I'll just, this is safe. I know I'm going to get paid next week. I don't know about that entrepreneur thing. So 1, you got to believe it and take a chance. Number 2, I had to learn our industry. Coming from restaurants, I never did insurance investments. I didn't own any investments. I didn't have a 401k. We didn't have stock. So I had to learn the industry, the products, the process, how this thing works. Number three, we had to learn how to move up in the company in terms of compensation and promotions. If you're in PHP, you got to study the compensation guidelines on Bamboo. You go to resources, you go to compensation, and you'll see there, and it shows you literally how to get from starting point to the highest position in the company. And I remember somebody told me, hey, in our business, I can't promote you or demote you. Only you can promote yourself. And your next promotion isn't based on if I like you or politics or any of that. It's based on guidelines. You hit the guideline, you get promoted. So for me to have clarity, what I had to do to hit the next level, what I had to do to make more money, that was a big thing. Number four, for those of you guys that are new to entrepreneurship, I had to create a schedule and I had to follow it. It's easy to create a schedule. It's not easy to follow it all the time, especially when you're your own boss and you don't have anybody. There's no consequence of you not doing it. You can't get fired. In our business, they say your schedule is your boss. And if you have an open spot in your schedule, what most people do is they're like, cool, let me take that off. Let me go here. Let me go run this errand versus saying, no, this open spot means that 2-3 days ago, I wasn't doing enough on the front end of my business to create activity during this time. So that open spot is going to lead to another open spot in your calendar in a few days. Number five, I wrote down was an hour of professional and personal development. Because I wasn't used to doing personal development or professional development. That was really big for me. Making $20 an hour, serving people food at the restaurant with tips to making six figures. That server, who I was not a six-figure earner. My way of thinking was not a six-figure earner. My work ethic was not a six-figure earner. Definitely not a six-figure earner. Number six was learning leadership. I didn't need leadership at my job because I wasn't in a leadership position. But now in terms of developing people on my team, it was something I need to study. So reading John Maxwell became one of my biggest teachers on leadership. Outside of Patrick, it was John Maxwell.
I love all his books, man. John Maxwell, I got a whole bookshelf of all of his books, man. His Bible, the Maxwell Leadership Bible is what I read when I read the Bible. Oh, you got it too, bro?
Yeah.
Love it. When I read scripture, that's his interpretation of leadership through the Bible. That's what I read. Awesome.
I'll give the last couple points. Number 7 was learning to run a system-driven business. Suazo talked about it earlier. Hey, it's personality-driven and talent-driven versus system-driven. I didn't know how to run a system, but when you're running a business, you got to run it based on a system. Last 2 points: learning to run and operate a business financially. We talked about money. Learning how to think like a business owner. Okay, I got to have staff. I got to invest in this. So I had to change my mentality, because before I would look at a car like, oh, let me get to go to a nice car and spend $500-600 on a car when I didn't have any money. Now, when you're making money, then yeah, that's a different story, right? But not having money, my car payment was $600-700 versus, and then I looked at a desk and I was like, man, I got to pay $500 for a desk or $500 for an office. That car isn't going to produce my dreams, but that office will produce my dreams. Having to take and invest into an assistant, that mindset shift for me on investing first, getting back second. And then number 9, the last one to 100,000 was learning to be consistent. Learning to be consistent every single day. It sounds simple, but learning every single week to be consistent is something that helps people make a 6-figure income or 7-figure income. So Sapaula, and I took the notes from last time when you said, what do you look for in a person that you work with? And these are things we train our team on. Your first $100,000, what were the things you had to change most about maybe your background or your personality or your habits?
Yeah, it's thinking less like a player, because the player make $100,000, $200,000, $500,000, $1 million a year. You can make that as a player, right? And I want to transition over to the look on her face and Giannis. When he won the NBA championship last night. We'll show a picture here in a second. But I stopped thinking less like a player, more like a coach, more like a GM, but really more like an owner. And more important, more like a commissioner that owns the league. So that's where my mindset started going. So can I make money off the court or only on the court? I want to make money off the court. Not only do I make money off the court, I want to make money when the sun comes up and the sun comes down. Now, I don't want to do that. I want to translate that skill set to other people. I want to get more people to start adopting that way of thinking, that mentality, to start thinking less, which is page one of our blueprints. Page one of our blueprints of the PHP blueprints is the difference in mindset of an employee versus an entrepreneur. Page one, right? Yours truly quoted right there, right? Page one, the difference, the thing like less like an employee. An employee thinks only me, myself, and I. An entrepreneur thinks systems, process, simplicity, duplication. How can I scale? How can I distribute? Instead of just working for someone, how can I work for themselves? So those are my transition from thinking like $100,000 earner to $500,000 income to $1 million income, because in our industry, it's filled with, I'm a great insurance agent. I'm a great financial advisor. I'm a great alphabet soup after my last name. It's a great product. You talk about industry people, you're on a lot of life insurance agents, around guys at NIFA, great guys, by the way, great organization. But a lot of them talk about what great product there is out there. The industry is not lacking a life insurance problem. It's lacking a life insurance distribution problem, because there's not enough agents in the field like a Jorge Pelayo, like an Ellis Suazo, who's solving that problem of creating more distribution. So, and living the life of your dreams, man. I'm looking. I want to share with this shot here. A couple faces. The look of living your dreams out. Oh, I shared the wrong one. Wrong one here. I'm getting used to this, man. This 2-screen system. Here we go. Boom. Desktop 2. Look at the look on the face of Richard Branson when he's on Virgin Galactic. Look at that smile on his face, man. He's in space. He's living his dreams. Soaring miles above the earth in Virgin Galactic rocket plane early this month. Congratulated Amazon founder Jeff Bezos after his trip yesterday and this is just look on his team, not only his face, but the people around him. So you're not only winning for you, but you're winning for the people that you love and care about around you, because you're living your dreams. You know, getting away from the how's your day going? Same old, same old. How's your day going? Another day, another dollar. How's your day doing? Just good enough for government work. Versus these guys living their dreams. And another guy living his dream. Look at this guy. That's the look of winning, man. Look at his face. All those late nights studying game tape, battling through injuries, good days, bad days. I'm sick. I'm not feeling well. Still going to practice. Late arrivals at the new city that they're playing in. Early morning practice with your trainer. Practice with the team. And then this is what it looks like when you win a championship. That's the look on the face when you put all in line, you win. And the look on your face, the look at your face. Who you praising, man? Who you giving glory to? Who are you thanking? Man, put that on stage. To see your family win. Look, oh man, look at this. You know, these faces here, man. These faces fire me up. Look at this face, man. I won. I'm winning for my family. In his full press conference after the finals, he said, listen, I hope this gives hope that your dreams can come true. Let this be a reminder to you again, in spite of what we're going through in our country, what we're going on through America, this Nigerian Greek freak comes to America, lives his dream. And when we see you guys' face in Las Vegas here in the next couple of weeks, to see you guys living your dream, be recognized on stage at the MGM Grand Arena. Suazo, who are you most excited about, man, to see on your team on stage? Like, for me, bro, I'm excited to see you on stage because I know what you've been through, what you and your wife Jasmine been through. But at the same time, to flip side to that, who are you excited to see get recognized on stage at the MGM Grand Arena, fighting for the best seats in the arena? We're excited,
man. I'm excited, man, to see the guys that started this opportunity with us last year during a pandemic via Zoom. We call them Zoom babies. That have no idea what this event is going to look like. You know, obviously a lot of us are trying to share with them the experiences. You know, I shared with them some videos last night of my actual like phone recordings in 2019 at when we had Kobe Bryant and everything, and just showing them how massive the room is. And I'm like, guys, it's going to be even bigger than this. And, you know, my guys that stuck through, like Kendrick and Brittany out of Louisiana, that built this entirely on Zoom, we're going to be walking across that stage. You know, Shatara and Edmund that you were with last night. So a lot of the newer people that paid that price became marketing directors, and though some of our other guys that qualified in the top 50 in different categories walk across that stage, man, because I know how powerful that moment is, because it's not just about the recognition. It's about when they get up there and they said, man, it was worth it. This is just snippet of the hard work that I put in, those long nights, being different, doing something completely out of my comfort zone. And this is that moment where we're being recognized and say, hey, keep going. This is just the beginning.
You're gonna have that look on their face, like a Jazz looking at that trophy. We're gonna have our moment. Look at his face, man. Look at his face. I don't know how many guys kiss that same basketball, but he's still kissing it. I don't care if I've shared that basketball. It'll be transmitting like Delta variant on that basketball. Who knows? But George, who are you most excited about, man? And because I know this is a yearly thing for you as a co-founder of PHP Agency. Here from day one of the company. Who are you excited about seeing on stage?
I want to ask you afterwards, Matt, too, what was like for you to work with Suazo? Like, what was that like in the beginning? Because you guys have so many different leaders on your team. But so yeah, if we can go there for the people like learning, like how do you lead a Suazo? Like, and how was that? Was he coachable? Was he teachable? Was he hungry? Did you need to drive him? Was he not? Like, that's because I'm also solving for how do we find, Suazos in our business. But I'm excited. I'm excited for one guy specifically, for a few of our guys, but one of them, Elvis Okafor.
From Nigeria. Yeah.
From Nigeria. He came to an event a couple of years ago, being a brand new person, like some of our guys today, and spoke on stage. And he made a bold declaration. At that time, his annual income was $30,000 a year. And, but he said, you know what, I'm sold out to PHP. I'm not going anywhere. This is my last place. I'm going to win here. And I used to hear things like that. I remember when I was new, Pat said, hey, are you going to be a professional singer? No. Are you going to be a professional athlete? No. Well, then why don't you treat this like it's your sport? And there's so many people that want that Giannis moment, but they're not going to have it because they don't play sports, but they think that they can't have it. And one of the things that's beautiful here is that you can have that moment, So when you see Okafor walk the stage with his mom, who's flying from Nigeria, just to be there to watch her son, who's about to he's crossing $300,000 in income right now, becoming a senior vice president, their daughter, who's about to cross 200,000 because both of them are in the business, to see your two kids, making $500,000 as a parent. What a great feeling. And then for the guys that, this is redemption. This is, recreation, the Sears. There's a battle right now with our guys on who's going to have the most butts in seats. Is it going to be Diaz? Is it going to be Sears? Is it going to be Okafor? But we got some guys that they're going into this with a very bold statement. And I don't talk about it too much, but Ernie and Sharon, they're in a good transformation season. Diaz are in a very good transformation season. And then we got some up and coming guys that we don't know who they are yet. But if you're watching this, Lois and Jasmine, and for everybody else watching this, if you want to make a statement, we have a leaders board in our hierarchy of who's sitting behind who in the sections, right? And to just be able to say, man, who am I taking out in my next section? Maybe you need to ask your MD or your VP, hey, where are we sitting? Who do we need to take out in registration count? Because right now, they say you beat 50% of the people by working hard, right? Or being a good person, 40% by working hard, and the other 10% is a dogfight. So,
yeah.
But yeah, man. So Sapaula, what was that like leading Suazo, and what was he like to work with?
Yeah, I mean, Suazo is, we share some of the same things growing up. He was competitive. He was an athlete growing up. One thing about Suazo, he and I both share is this chip on our shoulder. We're driven by something called, proving a point. And for the majority of my life, and for the majority of his life, he's been told, you're a teen parent. You ain't gonna go nowhere in your life. Your life is done. Your life is over. As a teen parent, your life is over with. And he proved the point by saying, no, my life ain't over, man. I can still be an engineer, still make money, and get my college degree. He did that. And for me, I was told, hey, man, you're nothing more than just a Marine. That's all you're going to do. All you do is firing a machine gun off the side of a helicopter, or you're going to be a cop or a firefighter, which are noble professions. But they're basically telling me from the context of you just can't really achieve your dreams and do much with your life. You don't know how to manage relationships. That's why you're a single father with 3 kids. I proved Suazo is driven that way. He's got a point to prove. And because he's active in his own rescue, you know what I mean? Some people want change, but they want other people to change and do it for them, put it on their lap. You know, Suazo wasn't a guy that was waiting for things to go on. He's going to get his blessing. I'm gonna go out and get it. And so we have a saying in MSM and PHP. We say, meet me halfway. Put your toes on line, then you'll meet my toes too as well, because we'll go toe to toe and we'll battle this thing together and we'll win together. But if you're at 49%, if you're at 48%, because I got to convince you to change your life, sorry. It's going to be very hard to work with you, because I'm going to find other people that are ambitious and dedicated to winning and having this look on their face too as well, because it's just not reserved for professional athletes and to Jeff Bezos and Richard Bransons of the world. We're going to experience it as PHP Agency. When we recognize our guys on the biggest stage with some of the biggest fights, artists, performances are held. And with that being said, we have a trailer we'd like to show you guys of what's going to look like here in the next couple of weeks at the MGM Grand Spectacular, August 9th through the 12th. Let's take a look at this clip. All right, up, Las Vegas. Here we go. In the chat box, right. Part of the PHP Agency family, let us know in the chat box. Not only are you going, but we want to know in the chat box, in the live chat, of how many people you're bringing with you, confirmed, going with you to Las Vegas Tuesday. Is your family? Is your team? Who's coming with you to the PHP Spectacular, August 9th through 12th? George, what's on your mind, bro?
You know, we were talking just a second ago, because one of the conversations was, what's the difference between $100,000 earner, a $250,000 earner, $500,000, $1 million, Sapaula, $2 million, right? And what, you know, it's crazy because one day we'll be talking about this $10 million earner, $100 million earner. What's the difference, right? And Pat said the difference is you're willing to say 5 more years, right? 2 more times, 3 more times, 4 more times, 3 more years, 2 more years, 1 more time. But we go again. But I want to share some of the things that I had to change. When you're making $100,000 as an entrepreneur, a lot of it is you, right? But to get to that next level of $250,000, $500,000, $1 million, a lot of it is your people as well, right? So the number one thing I had to learn to change that was developing people and helping my agents go to brokers. And that process of development, one of the questions for Suazo in the chat was, what was the difference from being in Sapaula's office to then having your own office, right? So that development of that mentality, maybe that's something you can touch on, Suazo. Number 2 was improving my personal production, because you have to be a better example, right? Our code of honor, our first 2 points are I keep my word, and number 2 is I lead by example. So I had to make sure that I was a better example for my team. Number 3, we had to raise our standards. Sometimes the standards that you have at $100,000 are not the same standards that you're going to need at 250 or 500,000 or $1 million. Number 4 was setting bigger goals for our organization. I knew how to set personal goals for myself, but in terms of starting to set goals for my guys, and that's something it's surprising because a lot of people, like you had the conversation last night at dinner, right, Matt, with what are your goals? A lot of people don't know how to set goals. That could be a class in itself, a goal setting class. But number 4, how to set bigger goals for our organization and for people. Number 5, and I was asking Sapaula today earlier, I said, tell me your call schedule for developing your people. And one of the calls is MD to B call, and there's overlapping leadership. And that was point number 5 for me was starting to look at my leaders and how I could assist them in expediting their leadership process for themselves, but also their people, and provide overlapping leadership. We make a lot of money in override. And for those of you guys that are newer to the business, what is override? Passive income from what your guys do, but you had to recruit those guys, license those guys, train those guys, lead those guys to get them to that level. So a lot of people say, well, I see what you're making without working, and you don't see all the work that we did beforehand. There's a saying that in the beginning, you're going to be overworked and underpaid. And on the back end of the business, we're going to be overpaid and underworked. Nobody has a problem being overpaid, underworked, but everybody has a problem being overworked and underpaid. And I can tell you guys watching, every single person on this podcast, Suazo, Sapaula, myself, we all at one point were overworked and very underpaid, but now we're getting, again, paid for the work we did back then. The last few points here, number 6 was processing issues. We had to get better at how we process issues with people, and teaching people how to process issues as well. Because when people quit, when people give up, when people aren't winning, when people aren't experiencing their next breakthrough, there's an issue. And it's a great thing, because once you process that issue and you get over, if you're willing to do the work necessary, your breakthroughs around the corner of that problem. Number 7 was expanding office and operations. Sometimes, signing that check and getting a bigger office. I know you guys signed a massive, I think you signed the biggest. How many square feet was it, Sapaula? Like 12?
It was 12,000 square feet, which we still have today, even though we're building Dallas office too as well. So we have 2 operations that we still have leases on, which is a 12,000 square foot office, $20,000 a month.
When we heard that, I was like, my stomach, I'm like, 12,000 square feet. What do you do there, right? Because it was the biggest office. It still is the biggest office in PHP. But expanding the office, expanding the operations team. Number 8 was restructuring goals. Sometimes when you hit a goal, the worst thing you could do is not set a new goal. So you got to get used to constantly, again, setting goals. Number 9 was more coachable and more aligned with people above me, people ahead of me, people in front of me. Because when you start winning, it's easy to slow down and get comfortable. So you need to be even more aligned and have the right associations. And the last one, Sapaula, was next level habits. What does the $500,000 earner do? And at 500,000, what does the $1 million earner do? And I'm always asking myself, I thought about it today. What does the $2 million earner do? How does he act? How does he think? How does he treat people? How does he process? How does he prepare? And if you start asking yourself that, for those of you guys watching, I know we got a high viewer count today. See, Suazo, what you did, you brought up
I'll be sure
man.
I'll be sure to perform today. That's the way you let everybody.
Right.
But powerful question, or powerful to question yourself on what does the next version of me do? This version doesn't do. So Suazo, what was the difference for you from going from Sapaula's office to your own office in business?
Yeah, that's a great point, because now his name is on a lease. So Suazo, what was that transition like for you, bro?
Actually, guys, it was a really smooth transition. And the reason being is because my mindset when I first came into the business is, this is the person that I've been looking for to mentor and lead me, right? I didn't know exactly who he was until I met him, which was Matt, right? And then they were the example that I was trying to get to. I said, they have the blueprint to becoming a millionaire. I'm going to follow in their footsteps, right? I'm going to listen to them, be coachable with them. Guys, being coachable doesn't always mean that you like your coaches, that they but they always have your back. They're trying to pull the best out of you. And sometimes it's your own mentality is the reason why you're not agreeing with them or liking them. It's not what they're doing. They're just trying to pull the best out of you, right? And so I just always kept that mindset. So I just got to get better. I got to get better. And so once we got to a certain point of growing in the business, we've evolved. We just did everything that our coaches says. Hey, qualify for this. Don't ever miss this. Get on Dream Team Call with Patrick. That was a point. If people really want to know what's one of the major things that happened in our business, how we go from a broker at the beginning of 2020 to becoming a vice president by the end of that year, it's the power of association. So if Matt is my mentor and he's telling me, Ellis, you now need to be mentored by my mentor, then that's what I'm going to do. And I said, Matt, what do I got to do? He said, you got to get on this call. This is how you do it. Right. And so that's what I did. And that's how my mind was able to shift, grow. I was able to change. And just because of the good example that Matt set, him and Sheena, save your money, do this, I was able to, on the backs of what they've done, the mistakes that they made, was able to meet with the business, the building owner, and he just said, "Oh, you're with who? With Matt and Sheena? Oh, you want the office upstairs? Here you go." He shook my hand and said, "That's it." There was no background check, no credit check, no this, no that. It was a handshake. And he said, "Here you go." He said, Sapaula's paid that money. But also, I look at it like this too. If he's willing to extend me that on the backs of Matt and Sheena, that also means that I have to hold up my end of the bargain.
Exactly.
Right? So now I have another shift as a business owner. And also I'm coming in here knowing that at the end of the day, no matter what, if everyone left and it was just me and my wife, we're committed to paying that lease, and we're business owners because it falls on us. So Pelayo moved. The shift also was that at the end of the day, it's on me. It's on me and my wife, no matter what, right? Because a lot of times too many people say, well, my team is not doing this, or this person not doing this. Or if you run a business, say, well, my employees are not doing this, my organization is not doing this, my managers are not doing this. No, it's you. At the end of the day, it's you. One of the biggest things I learned in this business is that when you wake up in the mirror, everything is your fault, but you are also the solution to everything. You keep that mindset, so many great things will begin to happen in your life. That was it for us, Pelayo.
See, bro. If it's going to be, it's up to me, and that's the attitude Suazo adopted. Guys, we've been referencing a lot today for the PHP Agency Blueprint. You know, Pelayo just talked about the code of honor. It's right here on page 82 and how to develop your own personal code of honor. By the way, yes, we sell life insurance, but we talk about a lot of other things too as well, which is, you know, maintaining and creating a personal code of honor, integrity, increasing your character. Because money, what we realize, money exposes everything. You know, don't let talent take you where your character can't keep you. And a lot of the ways they can help do that is also creating systems process, also proximity. So listen, as you guys are planning your day and watching this podcast and going about your business, we're very, very excited about the PHP Agency big event annual convention in Las Vegas here next couple of weeks because of one thing, which is what I always use to change my life, which is proximity to Jorge Pelayo. Like I come to this big event. Not only do I see him on Zoom, not only do I see him on social media, but I can have potential opportunity to ask a question to Jorge Pelayo, a first generation cash flow, half Puerto Rican, half Cuban millionaire. I can have proximity to a Ellis Suazo. If I see him in the hallway, oh, that's Ellis Suazo. I saw him on the podcast. Let me introduce myself to Ellis Suazo. He's a VP of the company. I'm from Louisiana, whatever the case may be. I was a single parent. I was a teen parent. You have the opportunity, proximity, to reach out to Suazo, meet him for the very first time, take a picture, take a selfie, and post it on social media. Let the world know who inspires you. And so that's really for me, because life-changing moments don't happen on your couch. Life-changing moments don't happen in your existing environment. Life-changing moments don't happen in your kitchen. Life-changing moments happens not in your comfort zone, but they happen in your uncomfortable zone. That's when life-changing moments happen. Suazo, as we wrap up, brother, what's your final thoughts?
You know, Matt, as I'm standing here today, it's been such an incredible topics that we've covered with everyone. And I'm just excited to see what the future holds, excited going into big event, excited for the new agents that's coming in and been Zoom babies all this time in 2020. And like, oh my God, we're about to be around people. But Vegas is opening up and it's going to be a phenomenal event. I'm just thinking about our agents who've had epiphanies and, you know, coming into this month, you know, creating more cash flow, creating more urgency. I just got one of our agents, Win James, made over $9,700 part-time this month.
Gwyn James, baby. Gwyn James.
$9,700, right? And, you know, it's such an incredible story. So many things happen in her life with her children. You know, being in the city of Chicago, there's a lot of things that go on in the city, man.
Yeah.
You know, you can read between the lines there, but, you know, there's a lot of people that we help, you know, that need what we do. And I'm just so excited that many of them are beginning to say, you know what, you know, we're asking them, hey, what else do you have? What's the alternative? Who's in your corner? Who's trying to help you? Who's talking like this to you? Who wants to see you win? I talk about it all the time. I say, in this opportunity for a Pelayo, I talk about Pelayo, I talk about, man, I say, in order for them to become successful, become millionaires in this industry, they had to help other people become successful. It's simple math, right? You become a board counsel, you had to help 20 people become at least a broker and become successful, right? So with that being said, what other place can you go wants to do that? Any boss I've ever had at any job never wanted to give me their tips, their secrets, their trades, so that I can become potentially them one day. Guess what happens here? Matt Sapaula and Jorge Pelayo are willing to share everything that they know with me so that I can become more successful and compress the time in which it took for them to get there. So it compresses my time. I'm very thankful because it took a lot of bumps and bruises out of our path. Right. And so I'm just paying it forward to the next person as well, saying, hey, these are the mistakes that I made. Learn from them. Do it better, faster, and quicker than even I have. And you're going to have a revelation, guys, coming with us to this big event, because it may be just that one speaker that says that one thing and it completely blows your mind. You say, you know what? I'm going to give it my all, because what's at home is still going to be waiting for you. Whether you go or not, it's still going to be waiting for you when you get back home. Right. And that's what I was talking to one of our agency owners yesterday. I say, man, look how far we come since we've known each other. Recruited one of my friends into the industry. Say, look how far we come. You know how many people we know that's still doing the same thing on Friday night? They're still talking about the same thing on Saturday night. They're still talking about spending $200 at the club. They're still talking about getting in early. They're still talking about all the things that we talked about when we were in high school and college. Guys, where's the elevation? Where's the change? That's what's on my mind, guys. And, that's what all our leaders have on their mind. And that's the type of environment that you have here. And you will begin to quickly elevate and grow and be something different and begin to surprise yourself, guys.
If you haven't done so, make sure you follow Suavecitos on Instagram. Ellis Suazo's Instagram handle, Suavecitos. We've been sharing it here throughout the podcast. What his Instagram handle is. Make sure you follow him on Instagram. See what his life is really like behind the scenes on IG stories as he posts them. Pelayo, your final thoughts, brother.
I'm trying to follow me Suavecito right now on Instagram. Cal, let's follow. Make sure we follow Suavecito. Suavecito is what I put in my hair every morning. By the way, there's an actual pomade. Yes.
Yeah. They got the skull. They got the skull face in the front, right?
For me, man, the dream is real. That's what's on my heart right now. The dream is so real in this country. We have a guy on our team. His name's Amir, and he's a newer guy. His grandfather in Iran wanted to have a farm, and he wanted to make oil of plants. That's what he wanted to do, some kind of plant oil, but he needed electricity. So he goes and he starts an electricity plant as a private citizen. This is years and years ago, something small that becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. Then they end up having a farm, 5,000 acres, pistachio, all kinds of stuff. And the government comes and says, hey, private citizens shouldn't have power plants, right? Which if that's the case, first of all, right, he already had one. Citizens are the ones that created everything, but today we think government needs to own everything instead of just making sure things are done right. They take the plant, don't compensate them. Wow. And then all these things change in Iran, where you see what's happening right now. And he says, and this is where I'm going. He says, America is the last place in the world of freedom. He says, if America loses its freedom and doesn't value entrepreneurs like a Branson, like a Bezos, like a Giannis, because all of them are performers and producers. And that's what entrepreneurs are. Entrepreneurs perform and produce. We create. You create. If you're watching this, you're a creator, right? And we are the most aligned with our creator when we're in the process of creating and we feel this energy in life. So the dream is real. What does that mean? Look at a Branson, right? His first business was a magazine that he started when he was 16 years old called Student. And you see him in space when he's giving this message, and he's giving this message to kids. And he says, man, if I can do this, just imagine what you're going to be able to do if you don't give up on your dreams. And we hear that and we think that that's the kids, but adults are just older version of kids. There are dreams inside of you that you need to reactivate, that you need to wake up, that you need to go experience, that you need to go get a taste of, go check out an exotic, go shopping in your dream neighborhood for homes, even if you can't afford it. Go look at the schools you want to send your kids to, look at the vacations you want to take, start putting the numbers together of how much it's going to take to go to those places, because your dreams are so real. You look at a Giannis, right, who just won a championship, and Milwaukee hasn't won a championship for 50 years, right? 50 years of losing. The team started 2 down, right? 2 losses. You know what they say? You lost your first championship, 0-2. Everybody has losses, but it's how you respond in those moments. Maybe you don't have the business you want to have today. You can literally change that with one decision backed up by action over the next 14. I think today's the 21st. So we have 9 and 8. We have 17 days. You could say, I'm going to take 17 people and I'm going to go find one person a day out of 340 million people. Now I'm going to go find one person a day for my next 17 days. And I'm going to take 17 people to that event. You could be by yourself today. And for those of you guys that have teams, man, this language of what if, I learned it from Patrick, right? What if this happens? What if we take 20 people? What if we take 50 people? What if we take 100 people? None of us know what's going to happen right now in our businesses leaving MGM. There's this whole unknown factor, but all we're doing is massive focus right now of getting souls, right? We say butts in seats, get it filled. We say souls in seats, because every human being has that soul that wants to be woken up and do something big in their life. So for us, it's filling every seat to MGM to give people a chance to dream.
What a fantastic episode. That being said, guys, listen, if you haven't done so, make sure you follow Jorge Pelayo. I am Jorge Pelayo on Instagram too as well. Watch what he does behind the scenes on his Instagram stories, in addition to what he posts on his profile. So for those of you watching this and you are getting more and more clear about your dreams, and you need an opportunity for you to express those dreams, it's been hidden and not expressed. You're in your 20s, you know you're about to do something big. In your 30s, life hasn't beating you up. You're in your 40s, you still haven't gotten to where you want to go in your life. Give yourself a shot. Give yourself a shot to live your dreams, your goals, opportunity. Invest in yourself. We've been talking about this whole entire podcast, and we'd love to see you at our private event, our annual convention, August 9th to the 12th. And by the way, you saw the speakers. You saw Mario Lopez will be hosting our gala night. Iron Mike Tyson going to be there for our leadership meeting for our directors and up. We got Sebastian Maniscalco, a private performance just for us. Frederick Da Silva, a private performance just for us. And we wrap it up with a concert by Nicky Jam. Come on. And then our CEO, founder Patrick David, is hosting a conference in September called The Vault. He's doing it just for us because this is his company. This is where he's made a name for himself here at PHP Agency, where all the content that you see on Value Team is because of him running with the values, the systems, and the principles of PHP. And he posts that stuff on his Value Team channel. But you get to meet him at our event in Las Vegas, August 9th to the 12th. If you haven't done so, make sure you book your tickets, your plane tickets, get your registration tickets, get your plane tickets. And I believe the hotel's already been sold out like 4 times. Hotel's been sold out. We keep having to ask for a room. By the way, I'm not so sure we have a room block anymore, but hotel, you got to find a different place to board, but potentially you might have to find a different place to board. But we want to see you in Las Vegas at the MGM Grand Arena, the biggest arena where the biggest fights, competitions, concerts, things are being held across the world at the MGM Grand Arena, and us, PHP Agency, making history. That being said, guys, on behalf of Suavecitos from Oak Brook, Illinois, on behalf of Jorge Pelayo from Culver City, California, I'm your money smart guy here from Dallas, Texas. And until we meet again, continue to help people, continue to love people, and continue to change your lives today. God bless you guys. We'll see you next week for episode 17. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.